The scholar had warned them, not with trembling fear or frantic gestures, but with the steady certainty of someone who had seen too much of humanity's past and survived it. He carried the knowledge of an empire that once believed itself untouchable, an empire that no longer existed. He defected the day he uncovered the truth buried in forbidden archives, records of a war erased from every official database, but not erased from history itself. He learned what humanity became when cornered, what humanity did when pushed, what humanity focused on a threat, and he understood the pattern: a minor aggression, a diplomatic attempt, a single warning, a single chance, and then the Blacklist Protocol. He pleaded with his superiors, begged them not to strike the human research vessel drifting beyond the frontier. He explained what that ship truly carried: healers, biologists, geneticists, medics, the kind of minds humanity protected, with a ferocity rare even among predators. They ignored him. They fired anyway. The research ship ruptured in silence, scattering sterile light across the void like the last breath of a dying star. And hours later, Earth replied, not with threats, not with rage, condemnation, or war declarations. One simple message. Return what you stole, it said. No roar, no fury, just focus. The scholar felt the blood drain from his limbs as he heard the words. His empire didn't understand. They thought the message implied uncertainty, but the scholar understood. This wasn't anger, this was their attention. And attention was Earth's deadliest weapon. The Empire did not return what they stole. They didn't even realize they had stolen something. The med lab they retrieved from the shattered research ship lay inside their capital vault, ringed with weapons and guarded as if it contained a doomsday device. In a way, it did. They didn't recognize the symbol etched into its frame, a small circle intersected by 3 bars. It wasn't military, it wasn't scientific, it wasn't political. It was a classification. The defector had seen it once before. Buried in the restricted archives he was never meant to access. The symbol meant, do not interfere, do not obstruct, do not delay. It marked equipment assigned to humanitarian teams, the people humanity protected above all else. The vessel they destroyed wasn't scouting, it wasn't sending tactical data back to Earth, it was delivering medicine. It carried organ printers for frontier worlds, portable atmosphere scrubbers, genetic stabilizers for species whose biology struggled to survive in new environments, cultural translators designed to preserve dying languages. There wasn't a weapon on board, not one, and that was what terrified the defector most. Humanity's warships were dangerous. Humanity's fleets were fast. But humanity's humanitarians, those were sacred. The Empire believed they had scored a strategic advantage by capturing the ship's medical core. They didn't understand the irony. They thought they had provoked Earth into conflict. But the defector knew the truth. The Empire had provoked Earth's attention. And once that attention locked on, one outcome was guaranteed. The message Earth sent, return what you stole, wasn't a request. It was a countdown. The Empire's ruling council gathered in their vaulted chamber, a hall carved from mineral glass and pride. The defector stood apart from them, a silent blemish on the polished floor. He had warned them at every step, provided evidence, showed them the symbol he had found, the one every archive insisted did not exist. They dismissed him. They always dismissed him. But this time, they didn't simply ignore him, they mocked him. Their arrogance had grown bold in the glow of the stolen medical core. They interpreted Earth's message as fear, desperation, weakness. When the council chair received the transmission, he activated the hall's grand display. projecting the message for all to see. A calm, unhurried voice. One sentence. Return what you stole. The hall echoed with amusement. One counselor leaned back, talons tapping lightly on the armrest. Look at how they beg. Another waved a dismissive hand. They fear reprisal. They want their toys back. A third smirked, eyes narrowing with predatory relish. We should strike again, push them into open war, see how far their mercy extends. The defector watched them, a cold pressure tightening at the base of his throat. They misunderstood everything. Humanity was not begging. Humanity was clarifying. The message wasn't fear, it wasn't bargaining. It was a chance. Just one. The defector stepped forward, voice cracking through the murmurs like a fractured blade. You fools! They are not pleading, they are focusing. Silence rippled through the chamber, brief, brittle, thin. The council chair scoffed. Focusing on what, traitor? The defector breathed once. Steady, certain, resigned. On you. The Empire did not return the stolen med lab. They didn't open it either. They were trying to, but every attempt triggered failsafes they didn't understand. Scanners burned out, tools overheated, interfaces refused access. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't locked to protect itself. It was locked to protect them from it. The defector watched technicians struggle around the sealed core, while counselors demanded progress. Every moment felt heavier. Every second, the weight of Earth's attention tightened across the system like a closing fist. And then the second message arrived. It didn't appear on their screens. It didn't route through their channels. It didn't follow any known transmission protocol. It simply materialized across every device simultaneously, from warship holotables to personal datapads. One phrase, a time step. One cycle remains. Nothing more. No voice, no tone, no threat. Just a deadline. A technician dropped his tools. A guard stiffened. Someone whispered a curse behind a sealed visor. The council erupted.
Is this intimidation? How did they breach our network?
One cycle. What happens in one cycle? The defector knew. He had read the human protocols. He had memorized them, because understanding them was the only reason he survived the last war. He stepped toward the central console, voice steady despite the tremor in his limbs. It means the Blacklist has convened. Silence. Every face in the chamber turned toward him. The council chair sneered, forcing disbelief through tightening fear. Your legends again. Ghost stories, fabrications. The defector met his gaze. No anger, no defiance. Only certainty. They only assemble once, when they agree that peace has ended. The council chair stood, striking his staff against the platform.
We will not bow to human superstition!
The defector closed his eyes. Then you will kneel before reality instead. The deadline approached with the slow gravity of an eclipse. At first, nothing happened. No fleets appeared, no weapons fired. No threats were transmitted. The Empire's citizens continued their routines, unaware of the countdown hanging over their heads. But, in the halls of power, fear seeped into every corner. The Council demanded defense drills. Warships were repositioned. Border stations were placed on alert. Broadcasts assured the public that all was under control. They lied. Because even under layers of confidence and command, the counselors could not ignore one detail. Ever since the time stamp arrived, the stars around our system felt quieter. The defector knew why. He had seen it before. Human attention didn't begin with explosions, it began with removal. Precision, isolation, silence. And that silence came suddenly. As the clock ticked down to its final moments, the Empire's central capital glowed with the light of 1,000 towers, until every one of them went dark at once. No flickering, no warning, just instant black. The city gasped. Power grids failed simultaneously across every continent. Shields collapsed, sensor arrays cut out, command channels shattered into static. Backup systems should have activated. They didn't. The Empire's homeworld, one of the brightest in the region, became a dead sphere floating in the void. Panic spread.
All systems down! Nothing's responding!
How are all redundancies gone? That's impossible.
They've erased our grid. How?
The defector knew. He breathed through the darkness, remembering another world, another empire, another time. Humanity didn't disable power grids. They didn't hack systems. They didn't brute force their way past defenses. They removed the infrastructure slowly, piece by piece, the same way they studied everything. Humans didn't fight chaos with chaos. They fought it with order. The council chamber dimmed until only emergency lanterns glowed. Figures paced in shadows. Voices cracked, weapons clicked in shaking hands. Only one person remained still. The defector stepped beside the window overlooking the powerless capital, his silhouette framed by distant starlight. This is their way, the way they begin, when they want you isolated. He turned to the trembling council, his voice steady in the hollow dark. The Blacklist does not open with violence. It opens with silence. The blackout paralyzed the Empire's capital, but panic alone wasn't enough to make the Council understand. Not yet. They still believed this was a temporary setback, a surge, a coordinated sabotage, something local, something survivable. Until the orbital watch stations went silent. Not disabled, not hijacked, silent. Every channel routed toward the outer defense ring returned only emptiness, a cold, star-filled void where hundreds of stations and thousands of personnel should have been. The Council's command dais erupted in overlapping voices, frightened and disbelieving.
We're not receiving pings from the outer perimeter. None of them!
I'm detecting debris, sir. Metallic. Hundreds of thousands of small fragments. Fragments? From what? The defector did not look at the console. He stared upward, through the darkened skylights, toward the empty night above. He knew what fragments meant. He had seen this pattern in archived footage from a war his people pretended never happened. Humanity didn't destroy orbital defense stations. Humanity disassembled them. Quietly, cleanly, efficiently, and quickly. He stepped closer to the console, speaking in a low voice that somehow carried across the entire hole.
Your perimeter didn't fall. It was removed.
The council chair slammed a fist against the control table.
Removed by what? We have no sensor logs, no impact markers, no—
The defector interrupted gently. That's the point. Sensor distortions flickered briefly across the hollow display. Static, drifting light, unresolved anomalies. Not ships, not fleets, not anything recognizable. But the defector recognized the absence. The same absence that had erased his former empire's defense ring. The same absence he had hoped never to witness again. One counselor whispered the thought no one else dared voice. Are they already here? The defector exhaled slowly. Centuries of suppressed truths gathering into a single sentence. When the Blacklist moves, you never see their arrival. You only see what used to be there. The Empire's capital remained trapped in silence, surrounded by a sky with too many empty spaces. Defense fleets were meant to be visible above the horizon. Patrol paths, engine trails, orbital flashes. But the heavens offered nothing familiar. A low tremor rolled beneath the city, a vibration that passed through the ground like a distant footstep felt through stone. The council chamber shook. People steadied themselves against railings. Someone gasped as glyphs flickered across dead consoles. The tremor faded, then returned, heavier, measured. The defector lifted his head. He knew this rhythm. He remembered it from archival records that were never intended for public eyes. Records of a time when an unseen human division moved across battlefronts with exact precision. The Blacklist didn't arrive in ships. They arrived in signatures. Patterns, gravitational irregularities, localized distortions that marked the presence of vessels engineered for silence over spectacle. The Council scrambled as exterior monitors rebooted in fragments, drawing jagged shapes across their displays. I'm receiving long-range distortion. It's huge. Wait, there are multiple sources. Identify them. Are they warships? Is this natural interference? The defector stepped closer to the projection table, watching as the distortion took on a faint silhouette. A clean vertical line, surrounded by faint, angular wings. Human. Blacklist. A presence that erased certainty. A counselor's voice cracked. Why can't we see their engines, their reactors, anything? The defector closed his eyes for a moment, steadying the memory that surfaced. A human engineer's proud explanation from decades-old footage. They don't glow. They don't roar. They don't announce themselves. They appear only when the decision is already made. He opened his eyes and faced the trembling council. That shape in the dark isn't the beginning of their attack. It's the moment they allow you to realize you're already inside their reach. The distortion sharpened. The silhouette grew. Something enormous descended through the upper atmosphere. Silent, unlit, controlled. Its presence bent clouds around its hull and wrapped city towers in rippling shadows. The Blacklist had arrived. But only one vessel made itself visible, which meant there were others the Empire still hadn't detected. The first Blacklist vessel settled into the upper atmosphere, drifting with deliberate restraint. Its hull held no markings, no windows, no running lights. Just smooth armored plating shaped for a purpose few living species ever witnessed. It didn't descend further, it simply watched. Or measured. The Empire's militarized sky responded at once. Gunship patrols scrambled from hidden launch bays. Orbital cannons rotated toward the shimmering silhouette. Every weapon system they possessed targeted the intruder with the precision born of desperation. For a moment, the Council felt a spark of confidence. Good. Hold formation. Prepare a first strike volley. Overwhelm it before reinforcements arrive. The defector stood behind him, silent. He remembered the archives. Footage of a different empire attempting the same tactic, convinced their firepower would force humans into negotiation. It accomplished nothing, because the Blacklist didn't respond to provocation. They responded to intent. The capital's sky turned bright as weapons primed, batteries charged, fighter squadrons locked onto firing coordinates. A young officer hesitated at the command console, voice trembling. Sir, the ship hasn't activated shields. It's not maneuvering. It's ignoring us. The council chair snarled. Then fire. Show them we don't fear their theatrics. Before the order could be issued, the main display flickered. A new transmission forced its way through the blackout. Clean, stable, unmistakably human. A lone figure appeared on screen. Armored, helmeted. Still, their voice came through without distortion, without raised volume, without urgency. You targeted our healers. You killed those who crossed stars to save, not to conquer. Our first message was a warning. This is the second. The council fell silent. The defector's heart pounded in his ears. He recognized the way the operative stood. Balanced, emotionless, steady. The Blacklist didn't posture. They delivered inevitabilities. There will be no negotiation. Return the medical corps immediately, or we proceed. The council chair sputtered, barely forming words. Proceed with what? You dare! The operative tilted their head a fraction, as though acknowledging a familiar mistake. With collecting the casualties your decision requires, the transmission ended. Outside, the Blacklist vessel repositioned slightly, not in preparation for attack, but in acknowledgement that the Empire had reached the crossroads. Every sensor in the capital pulsed once. Every tower flickered. Every console shook. The defector whispered into the stale air, the words meant for no one and everyone. They offered you clarity. The next step will be consequence. A single moment of hesitation hung over the capital. The council stood frozen, torn between pride and survival. Weapons remained locked on the Blacklist vessel, but none dared give the order to fire. The stillness broke not with an explosion, but with an absence. The Empire's northern defense district vanished. One instant it stood illuminated against a skyline. Towers, hangars, command posts, and the next, a silent void swallowed it. No flames, no shockwave, no thunder. Just a clean removal of everything occupying that space. City lights on the horizon blinked out in a perfect arc, as if a sculptor had carved a single smooth line across the landscape. The council chamber erupted.
Sector 7 is offline. All structures, all personnel, gone. We're scanning for debris, but I'm not finding. There's nothing there.
The council chair staggered back, eyes wide. Where is the wreckage? Where are the bodies? The defector stared at the distant curve of darkness. His voice felt hollow. They weren't destroyed. They were extracted. Confusion spread like a contagion.
Extracted? By what mechanism?
The defector turned from the window. Blacklist intervention protocols remove danger, infrastructure, and assets with the same precision. Loss is only collateral when humans lack time. Today, they have all the time they need. The ground trembled again. Another arc of darkness stretched across the horizon. A shipyard disappeared, then a weapons depot, then the Eastern Orbital Uplink Tower. Each erasure arrived with a soft pulse on every display, like the heartbeat of something descending closer. A comms officer collapsed into his chair as readings flooded the console. They're isolating the capital. Every strategic site, every fortified point, removed. They're drawing a perimeter around us. Perimeter. Not a strike, not a bombardment. A shape, a cage. The council chair gripped his staff until the metal creaked. Why? Why gather us? Why leave us alive? The defector answered without hesitation. Because the Blacklist wants a decision. This is pressure, not punishment. Another tremor rolled through the earth. The lights flickered. Only the southern district remained intact, for now. The defector closed his eyes, feeling the weight of history tighten around him. They are giving you one last chance to return what you stole, before consequence replaces mercy. The Empire still held one asset humans wanted returned: the medical core retrieved from the destroyed research vessel. Technicians crowded around the sealed device in the capital vault, their hands trembling as they worked through flickering emergency light. Every instrument they used malfunctioned, every probe overheated, every attempt to breach the casing failed. It sat in the center of the room like a silent accusation. The vault air vibrated, an almost musical hum rising from the core's frame. Its emitter rings brightened with slow pulses, each one syncing with the tremors rolling across the city. The Empire assumed the core was simply a piece of advanced equipment. The defector knew better. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't even rare. It was critical. A humanitarian core carried the knowledge of entire species, their biology, their vulnerabilities, their cures, their genetic safeguards. It held databases used for vaccine development across dozens of worlds. It stored environmental templates for terraforming sickly colonies. The Empire hadn't stolen technology. They had stolen survival. In the vault, a senior counselor leaned toward the core, trying to maintain a mask of authority. There must be something inside this shell. A power source, a failsafe, a weapon, something valuable. Are you sure we can't extract it? A technician wiped sweat from their brow. Every tool we use fails. It's as if the core resists us directly. The defector stepped into the vault, his presence unexpectedly calming the panicked staff. He approached the core with slow, cautious movements, the kind of reverence shown not to machines, but to graves. It's not resisting. It's protecting the data until it returns to the species that created it. The core pulsed brighter. A counselor scoffed, though the shake in his voice betrayed him. Data cannot choose sides. It cannot decide ownership. The defector touched the scorched metal casing with one steady palm. This isn't a database. It's a promise. Humanity sends these cores to frontier worlds to strengthen life, not take it. Stealing it is more than a crime. It's interference with every world those healers were meant to protect. Outside the vault, another tremor struck, heavier, closer. The floor shivered. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Emergency lights flickered. Then a voice spoke over the vault speakers, calm, human, and unmistakably Blacklist.
The perimeter is closed. Return the core immediately.
Silence spread through the vault like frost. The defector lowered his head. They're giving you one last chance. A counselor slammed a fist against the wall. They wouldn't destroy us over a medical device. The defector looked at the core, its lights growing faster, its hum deepening. He felt the truth settle over him like a shroud. They're not here for revenge. They're here to reclaim the future you disrupted. The capital's surviving districts huddled beneath a sky that felt far too empty. The Blacklist vessel still hovered overhead, motionless, silent, a shape that turned the atmosphere around it into a trembling haze. The Empire's military command tried to regroup. They pushed out emergency broadcasts. They rallied ground forces. They prepared to fire one final volley, a defiant gesture to prove the Empire still held control over its own fate. But control was already gone. Every sensor registered a shift, a ripple, a distortion. Something vast entered the system. A new Blacklist ship appeared. This one didn't hide in shadow. It bled light into the darkness, a sweeping curtain of blue-white brilliance that stretched across half the sky. The Empire's soldiers stared upward, their weapons drooping. This ship belonged to a different class, the kind the archives had whispered about, the kind the defector had prayed he would never see again. The council chamber shook as its emergence riddled through the atmosphere. Displays crackled to life for a brief instant, just long enough to show a silhouette so large it dwarfed the capital below. An officer fell backward, gripping the console for support. That vessel is larger than our entire defense ring. A commander pointed at the display, voice cracking.
It's blocking out the sun! What kind of ship is that?
The defector's breath trembled as memory collided with reality. It's a stabilizer. They only deploy it when a world is about to be structurally rewritten, the council erupted.
Rewritten? That's impossible. They wouldn't reshape an entire planet.
Lightning arced across the sky as the stabilizer activated. Coffins of pale energy dropped from its underbelly, forming a lattice around the capital, a cage of shimmering geometric beams, descending with implacable grace. Every citizen on the surface saw it. Every soldier on the wall felt it. Every leader in the chamber understood it. This wasn't an invasion. It was an intervention. A loud crack thundered above as the stabilizer locked into phase. A deep resonance rolled across the land, a harmonic tremor that vibrated through bone and stone. The defector steadied himself against a railing, voice shaking despite his resolve. You forced their hand. The Blacklist doesn't conquer, it corrects. The council chair staggered, fury and disbelief tearing through him.
What gives them the right to reshape our world, to decide our fate?
A new transmission pierced the chamber speakers, cutting through every voice. A human operative again, The same calm tone, the same controlled authority. You killed our healers. You took what was meant to preserve life across a dozen worlds. We offered clarity. This is the consequence. The defector closed his eyes, letting the weight of those words settle as the sky above fractured into bands of ordered light. Attention is Earth's deadliest weapon, and now it is fully aimed at you. The stabilizer's lattice continued lowering toward the surface, each beam descending with quiet precision, each segment locking into place like the ribs of a new horizon. The capital trembled as harmonic waves rippled across rooftops and through stone avenues. People fled into the streets, looking upward in terrified awe. Citizens who had never heard the word Blacklist now whispered it like an omen pulled from ancient myth. Inside the vault chamber, the medical core pulsed harder. Its casing vibrated with rhythmic force, as if resonating with the beams above. Technicians backed away, shielding their eyes from the rising brilliance. The senior counselor swallowed hard, voice breaking under the pressure. We cannot surrender a single device. Doing so admits fault. It undermines our authority across every outer colony. The defector stared at him, disbelief washing into sorrow. Authority means nothing when survival is in question. This core isn't leverage. It's the only thing standing between you and erasure. A tremor rolled beneath their feet. Dust cascaded from the ceiling. Emergency lights flickered. The council chair burst into the vault, cloak whipping behind him.
What is happening outside? Why is the stabilizer forming a cage around the capital?
The defector stepped forward, facing him fully. They're preparing to remap your infrastructure, erase military capacity, strip away tools that could cause further harm. The council chair slammed a hand against the wall.
We refuse to be remade by humans.
Another tremor struck, this one sharp, immediate, and close. One of the vault's support columns fractured. Technicians dove aside as shards of alloy clattered across the floor. The medical core responded to the quake. Its surface shifted, revealing inner rings of white-blue luminescence swirling with ordered precision. A young technician gasped. It's syncing with the stabilizer grid. The core it's communicating with them. The council chair rounded on the defector.
What have you done?
The defector's voice remained steady. I didn't summon them. You did. Lightning flared above the capital as the stabilizer beams completed their descent, forming a full dome of interlocking geometry. The city's foundation shook beneath a deep, resonant hum. Every system humanity deployed had a signature. Every action carried intention. Every intention held weight. The dome glowed with increasing intensity. A new message echoed across the Empire. Calm. Measured. Human.
You have one act remaining. Return the core. If you refuse, we begin restructuring.
The defector exhaled quietly. A breath carrying centuries of fear, memory, a croak on each quiet, whispering sound. Brett, this is your last chance to choose survival. The stabilizer dome brightened to a level that washed color from the world. Shadows stretched thin across the capital streets. Every structure seemed to waver, as if caught inside the breath of a sleeping titan. The Empire's military attempted one last act of defiance. A single artillery battery, hidden deep beneath the council district, came online. Its launch rails hummed, preparing to fire on the stabilizer's descending grid. The defector felt the shift before any alarm sounded. His throat tightened. Shut that battery down. Immediately! The council chair barked a command, misreading the moment.
Fire on the lattice! Break their formation!
But the battery never released a shot. The stabilizer responded first. A column of white-blue energy swept downward in a clean vertical line. No sound, no heat, no spectacle. Only a sudden absence where the battery and its bunker once existed. A hollow pit of smooth, glassed earth remained. Silence followed. The kind of silence that carried judgment. The defector looked toward the ceiling, feeling the pressure building like a storm, sinking into the bones of the city. They are mapping what must be removed in order to prevent future harm. This is restructuring. Inside the vault, the medical core swelled in brightness. Light spiraled across its rings, forming delicate patterns that danced over the metal walls. Even the stabilizer beams outside appeared to pulse in rhythm with it. The core wasn't reacting to threat. It was responding to a signal. A technician stepped back, shielding their eyes. It's fully awake. The core is coordinating something. The council chair rounded on him.
What does that mean? What is it coordinating?
The defector raised a hand to quiet the panic. The core contains medical, ecological, and infrastructural templates. It knows how to repair worlds or reshape them. Another tremor rattled the vault. Screens flickered. The medical core began rotating, exposing inner rings layered with micro-engraved circuits that shimmered like starlight. Then the voice returned. Calm, human, unshaken. Your resistance has been noted. Phase 1 restructuring begins in 60 heartbeats. The council erupted into chaos.
They're going to destroy the capital!
They'll erase everything. Our defenses, our infrastructure.
The defector's voice cut through the noise with a solemn finality. They don't erase. They remove what endangers others. Your empire's violence made you the threat. The stabilizer dome flashed once, a brilliant flare that carved sharp reflections across every surface. The countdown had begun. 1 minute, 60 heartbeats. The Empire still held the core, and Earth was done asking. The countdown began without ceremony. No alarms, no klaxons, no blaring warnings. Only the faint pulse of the stabilizer grid. Soft flashes of pale light rolling across the vast dome overhead, each one marking a heartbeat's passing. 60, 59, 58. Inside the vault, the medical core rotated faster. Its ring segments aligned with precise, deliberate movements. Not the frantic spin of a device in distress, but the graceful motion of machinery built for life-preserving intervention. The Empire still believed this was a weapon. The defector knew it was the opposite. It was a solution, and humanity had entrusted it to people who never understood its responsibility. The council chair clung to that misunderstanding like a sinking man gripping the last scrap of driftwood.
We will not surrender our technology. We didn't steal a weapon. We secured an advantage.
The defector stepped toward him, face illuminated by the core's spiraling glow. That advantage was built to save dying worlds. You claimed it as a trophy, and now the builders have come to reclaim it. Another tremor shook the vault. The floor rippled underfoot. Ceiling supports cracked. 48, 47. A junior officer burst into the chamber, breathless.
Entire districts are being outlined by the stabilizer. Buildings are dissolving at the foundation, cleanly, like they're being rewritten into raw material.
The council erupted into fracturing arguments. They're cleansing the city.
They'll level our world if we don't fight back!
Fighting back would change nothing now. The defector raised his voice above the chaos. Bring the core to the open. Now. It's the only way to halt Phase 1. But the council chair recoiled as if struck.
Returning it means admitting we were wrong.
The defector stared at him, not cruelly, not triumphantly, but with a sorrow that reached past anger. No. Returning it means your people live. The lights dimmed again. A resonant hum built inside the dome above. A harmonic signal the stabilizer broadcast when preparing to alter infrastructure on a massive scale. 34, 33. A new transmission cut through the vault speakers, a voice steady as forged steel. Your world stands on the threshold. Return what you took, and restructuring halts. Refuse, and we proceed. The council chair, trembled with a mix of pride and fear. "We cannot bend to them." The defector stepped close, inches from his face. "You're not bending. You're surviving." 22, 21. The core flashed again, a warning of its own. Outside, entire sections of the capital shifted. Highways retracted into the ground. Weapons bunkers collapsed inward, reduced to harmless dust. Communications towers folded like paper into molten slag. The Empire wasn't being slaughtered. It was being disarmed. 15. 14. The council finally broke.
Give it back! Bring the core to the landing tier!
"On it! We're moving! Clear the path!" The defector exhaled, a breath carved from dread and fragile hope. "Move quickly. They will not pause the countdown." 10, 9. The vault doors opened, and the march toward humanity's judgment began. The technicians pushed the medical core onto a grav lift, its rings still rotating in precise alignment. Light from the device spilled across the corridor walls in gentle, articulated patterns that shifted each time the stabilizer dome pulsed overhead. The Empire didn't realize it, but the core was following a signal. It wanted to go home. The defector walked beside it, each step measured. He felt the countdown in the air, not as numbers, but as a tightening presence bearing down on the world. 9, 8. Outside, the city convulsed again. Whole blocks descended into the earth in smooth, controlled motions. Buildings folded into geometric shapes, like sandcastles drawn back into the tide. Air traffic lanes collapsed into silent grids. Still no screams, no explosions. The Blacklist didn't destroy life. They cleared space for it. As the procession moved through the corridor, a young soldier barred the path. His armor was shaking. His eyes were wide. You can't give it to them. We'll lose everything we fought for." The defector stepped forward, his voice calm enough to steady the trembling hallway. "You haven't been fighting for your people. You've been fighting for the pride of those who doomed them." The soldier swallowed hard, lowering his weapon. Are humans really capable of reshaping entire worlds?" The defector didn't soften the answer. "When they choose to, and today they have chosen." 7, 6. The corridor opened into the central atrium, once a shining symbol of Imperial unity. Now it stood fractured, lit only by the core's glow. Above, the stabilizer beams descended through the open ceiling like pillars of ordered starlight. The grid had almost reached its lowest point. The defector looked up and felt the same dread he had carried since the archives first revealed this protocol. He whispered to himself, though the soldier beside him heard every word. This is what they become when the mercy ends. 5, 4. Technicians rushed the grav lift toward the landing tier, the open plaza where surrender might still mean survival. The beams converged overhead, forming a perfect iris of geometric light. The space hummed with power so exact it felt like standing inside a heartbeat. A senior officer ran into the plaza from the opposite side, panic distorting his voice.
"We're receiving a transmission. It's a lockdown order. They're sealing space around the capital."
The defector's expression darkened. That means the final phase is imminent. After this point, negotiation has limits. 3, 2. The grav lift reached the center of the plaza. The core brightened, a sphere of white-blue radiance forming around it like a protective shell. The stabilizer dome opened a single channel of descending light directly above the core. A human voice filled the air, clear, calm, resolute. "You have one action remaining. Release the core into the transfer beam." The council chair stumbled into the plaza, robes torn, face pale.
"This will erase our sovereignty. It will strip us of power."
The defector faced him, eyes steady. "You lost your sovereignty the moment you killed those who came to heal you. 1. The final heartbeat echoed across the city. The core lifted from the grav lift, not by machinery, but by resonance. It rose slowly toward the beam. The Empire's last chance hung suspended in the air, glowing like a fragile star. The core rose into the column of descending light, its surface blooming with intricate patterns, sharp arcs, spirals, and rippling rings. Each symbol flared only for a moment before dissolving into the luminous flow surrounding it. The Empire's plaza fell silent. Citizens gathered around the edges of shattered buildings, watching through the fractured skyline as the stabilizer grid shifted. The beams reoriented themselves, slow, measured, deliberate, forming a channel that guided the core toward the sky. The defector felt his breath catch. Humanity hadn't come to punish a world. Humanity had come to remove the contamination that endangered others. The Empire was the contamination. A tremor rolled across the plaza as the core moved higher. Light shimmered across its rings, each pulse timed with precision. Defector recognized the sequence. It was preparing to transmit its entire medical database back to its creators. The Empire's authority hung on a thread. The council chair stumbled forward, reaching toward the rising sphere as though he could still halt destiny.
You're surrendering our greatest prize. That core could elevate us beyond the dozen civilizations. You're throwing away our future.
The defector's expression carried the weight of a man who had outlived his illusions.
That core was designed to extend life. You used it to justify violence. The future you speak of doesn't exist. Only consequences do.
Another tremor struck, stronger, closer. The plaza vibrated underfoot. Up above, the stabilizer beams brightened until they resembled vertical rivers of light. A technician shielded their eyes.
It's passing through the grid. The core is responding to extraction commands.
Then the voice returned. The human operative's tone was unwavering, steady enough to hold the entire capital in place.
Transfer initiated. You have cooperated. Phase 1 restructuring will be minimized.
Relief swept across some faces, but the defector stiffened. Humanity never used the word minimized casually. It meant the world would still be reshaped, just less severely. The core pierced the highest point of the beam, disappearing into a brilliant flash above the dome. When the light dimmed, the core was gone. Retrieved by hands that had once built it, a soft shockwave rippled through the plaza. Dusk lifted from the ground. The grid above shifted into a new configuration, a shape the defector recognized instantly. Containment pattern. The Empire gasped.
Why is it reorganizing? We gave the core back!
The defector swallowed, dread cresting through him. Returning it spared you destruction, but not judgment. The stabilizer lattice thickened, forming geometric plates of transparent alloy that slid together like pieces of a colossal puzzle. The dome shifted again, contracting inward. The air grew dense. A low hum spread across the city, a resonance that felt less like machinery and more like a sentence being spoken. The defector closed his eyes. They're sealing us in. The containment dome tightened its geometry with a sound like shifting stone. Panes of translucent alloy, glowing faintly with stabilized energy, slid together until the capital sat inside a sphere shaped by impossible mathematics. The Empire had surrendered the core, but surrender only answered one question. The stabilizer had come to resolve the others. A deep harmonic pulse traveled through the ground, rising through towers, rippling along shattered roads. Every citizen felt it in their bones, a resonance that carried meaning without words. The city was being analyzed, not destroyed, not punished, evaluated. The defector pressed a hand against the plaza railing as data streams flickered faintly across the inner surface of the dome. Lines of light mapped districts, traced infrastructure patterns. highlighted structural weaknesses, scanned weapons stockpiles, indexed troop positions. Humanity wasn't deciding who lived. Humanity was deciding what remained. The council chair raised a shaking hand toward the sky.
What are they doing? We complied. We obeyed the demand. Why continue this?
The defector's answer felt heavy enough to bend the air around him. Surrender stops retribution. It doesn't erase responsibility. The counselor beside him staggered backward as a tower near the plaza folded inward, not collapsing, but compressing into a smooth column of inert material. Another structure followed, and another. Weapons depots dissolved into dust that drifted harmlessly into the grid above. Military transport rails contracted into the earth. Communication antennae unraveled into thin spirals of inert metal. A frightened soldier fell to his knees. "They're dismantling everything that makes us a power." The defector turned to him, voice steady. "That's the point. Your empire will survive, but it will never again harm a world entrusted to human aid." Another harmonic pulse rolled outward. Entire defensive rings vanished underground in circular patterns, leaving crater-smooth surfaces where militarized districts once stood. The council chair clutched his staff. "They're reducing us to nothing." The defector shook his head. "No, they're reducing you to harmless." Above them, the stabilizer shifted into its final configuration. The dome began to contract inward again, slow, deliberate, precise. A beam of shimmering light descended into the plaza, touching nothing, yet illuminating everything. It swept across the city with surgical care, passing over citizens without injury, passing through buildings as if measuring their worth. Every child, every civilian, every unarmed worker was untouched. But command bunkers melted away. Weapons evaporated. Tactical relay centers collapsed into quiet ash. Humanity wasn't conquering a rival. Humanity was correcting a threat. The defector bowed his head, his voice barely a whisper but clear enough for those nearest to hear. This is the judgment that follows attention. The stabilizer dome reached its final phase. Its panels contracted inward with the slow precision of a closing flower, not crushing, not collapsing, simply reshaping everything within its boundary. The Empire's capital shifted beneath the weight of that transformation. Defense grids dissolved into harmless dust. Weapons bunkers folded into smooth plains of alloyed earth. Military transport routes collapsed into narrow pedestrian corridors. Power lines rerouted themselves through civilian conduits, leaving no branch capable of feeding a war machine. The city wasn't dying, it was being rewritten. Citizens emerged from hiding, frightened, astonished, but unharmed. The air felt cleaner, the tremors gentler, the sky brighter inside the dome's refracted light. Humanity's intervention preserved life with surgical care. Only the structures built to harm others were erased. Only the tools crafted for domination were dismantled. Only the means of terror were rewritten into harmless architecture. The Empire's might remained as memory, not reality. The Council stood among the ruins of their authority, stunned into silence. No army marched. No bombardment fell. No execution followed. The judgment was already complete. A final beam descended from the stabilizer, scanning the plaza. It paused over the defector, illuminating him in soft blue light. For a moment he wondered if they recognized him, if the Blacklist knew the role he had played in a war the galaxy forced itself to forget. But the beam drifted away without reaction. Humanity wasn't here for him. They were here for the future. The human operative's voice returned, calm, unwavering.
Your world will recover. We have removed only what endangered others. You remain responsible for what comes next.
The dome retracted upward. Panels lifted smoothly into the air, dissolving into motes of white-blue light that drifted toward the stabilizer hull. The sky reappeared, Clouds rolled across a horizon, finally free of the Empire's oppressive machinery. Citizens stared upward with a mixture of awe and fear. The council chair collapsed to his knees, robes gathering dust.
They took everything that made us strong.
The defector stood beside him, eyes fixed on the stabilizer as it rose toward orbit. They left everything that lets you live. The stabilizer ascended into the heavens, its engines bending light around its hull. No final threat, no final warning. Its work was done. The Blacklist vessel lingering in the sky tilted slightly, acknowledging the completed judgment. Then it vanished with a ripple, a disappearance so graceful it felt like the sky sighed. Silence fell. Real silence this time. The silence of aftermath, not fear. The defector looked across the reshaped capital with an expression caught between sorrow and relief. This is what remains when humanity chooses correction over conquest. He turned toward the stunned survivors.
Remember this, Earth never wanted a war, but once you gave them a threat to focus on, judgment became inevitable.
The stabilizer had ascended beyond the atmosphere, leaving the sky clear and quiet. No rumbling engines, no lingering beams. Only a faint shimmer across the stars where the vessel had departed, a ghost of judgment passing into memory. The Empire's capital lay transformed beneath it. Streets once designed for military processions now curved softly into civilian corridors. Defensive structures were reshaped into communal spaces. Weapons bunkers had become gardens of smooth alloy soil, already warming under the sun. Life had not been destroyed. It had been rewritten into a shape that could no longer threaten others. The defector walked through the reformed plaza, each step echoing across surfaces sculpted by a power far beyond his people's comprehension. Citizens watched him pass, some with anger, most with fear, others with dawning clarity. A young cadet approached him, armor scorched and cracked from the structural shifts. "Scholar, was everything they've said about humans true? Are they really capable of reshaping entire civilizations?" The defector paused, the weight of memory bending his shoulders. He had seen the archives. He had lived the first truth. He had witnessed the second. And now, he stood in the aftermath of the third. They reshape only when forced, when violence interrupts the work of their healers, when mercy is mistaken for weakness, when the future they safeguard is threatened. The cadet lowered his gaze. Then, why didn't they destroy us? The defector looked across the city, a city transformed not by rage, but by decision. Because conquest would have been easy, cooperation is harder. It demands restraint. He turned toward the horizon where the stabilizer had vanished, voice carrying the resonance of a man who had survived 2 eras of humanity's attention. "Remember this day. Earth does not seek dominion. It seeks balance. But if you compel it to focus on you, its judgment will arrive with precision you cannot escape." He stepped away, leaving the cadet in stunned silence. Voices murmured around him as citizens debated their future, a future suddenly free of domination and heavy with accountability. Above them, the clouds parted, revealing an unscarred sky. The Empire had survived, but it would never again wield power as a weapon. Humanity had ensured that. The defector breathed deeply, a man witnessing the end of one path and the reluctant birth of another. And as the scholar walked into the rebuilt dawn, one truth carried across the quiet world. Attention is Earth's deadliest weapon, and once turned upon you, it shapes what remains.